Thanks so much, Kate. Thanks, everyone. I see some familiar faces from last time, so welcome back if you were here last time. If this is your first time here, welcome. I hope that this is a really sort of insightful piece you can get something out of, and I hope that you've seen the recording from the first one. Just a quick introduction for those people that don't know me. I'm Darren. I'm a performance psychologist. I've been fortunate enough to work the last 4 years helping athletes at all levels improve the mental side of their performance. So hopefully we can learn some things from the wisdom of the science in psychology and performance and sports psychology and apply it to our croquet. Without sort of any further ado, I'm going to share some slides here and get going for today. So there we go. Forgive me, I'm also having people join, so I'm bringing them in as we go. Okay. Can everyone or someone raise their hand if they can see my slides, or just unmute and let me know if they can see my, yeah, thumbs up. Beautiful. Thanks, guys. Legendary. Okay, the thumbs up, the raising hand system working. Love that. Okay, so today that is going to be about practical mental skills. The first workshop was about sort of framing where we were in our journey, about being ready to kind of embrace the process of striving to get better and setting ourselves up with sort of the foundations of what does it mean to be mentally tough? How do we think about psychology and mindset in application to croquet? And then I think I finished with a suggestion to start a training journal as something that you could take away and use to begin with. Now, I did say that it's not something I was going to chase up on and see if everyone had started one. It's an open invitation for you guys to implement something into your croquet that can help you improve. Now, I will say that I will be referring kind of to it because I think it's a really helpful ongoing tool that we can use to put these mental skills into and to keep a track of how things are going. So let's get into things here. So to start, I'm going to get a poll going. I think I'd asked this the first time, but very valuable, I think, to go through this again. The first question is going to be, how important is it to have a strong mind in croquet? So see if I can launch that now. So there's a poll there. If you guys could, I think there's a button at the top if it doesn't automatically appear. And if you could tick a box here, how important is it to have a strong mind in croquet? Extremely important, very important, moderately important, slightly important, or not important at all? Guest. Bring in Ray while this is happening. Okay, where's the poll? How are we going here? We've got 10 votes in at the moment. If you haven't got your vote in, chuck it in there now. Sharon, yes, I can see your hand. Would you like to unmute? Do you have a question? Well, I think I see you talking, but you're still muted, Sharon. I think you have to unmute first and then you can, there we go.
Okay, I can't find the voting box on my screen.
The voting box is not in the screen. Okay, is there a purple button called polls at the top somewhere?
No.
No purple graph?
Oh, there's a graph thing.
Little purple line graph. Yeah, if you click that, does that open up?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Well done.
Okay.
Alistair, did you have your hand up as well?
Got the same problem. Can't see anything. Can't see a purple line graph.
No purple line, no purple bar graph or anything at the top?
No, nothing.
It's very small.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not quite sure, Alistair. I'm so sorry, but I'll take your vote verbally. Which one would you vote for?
I got the same problem, Darren.
5.
5? Yeah, wonderful. Sorry, I know someone else jumped in there. I didn't see who it was again.
So
Very sorry.
Ray, it's a purple box at the top of your screen. Just a square with some lines in it. Just very small. So you'll have to give us your vote, Ray. How important is it to have a strong mind in croquet?
Yes, it's important.
How important?
How important? Oh, 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. All right, great. Well done. Okay, I'm going to end the poll here. We seem to have gotten like a good amount of votes in there. Must be everyone's. I'm not sure if this actually displays it to you, but I'll just sort of read out the answers here. Extremely important got 8 votes. Very important got 5 votes. And 2 votes for moderately important. There were no votes for slightly or not important at all, on top of the ones that gave theirs verbally. So, you know, I think for most people here, we're sort of saying that there is a decent level of importance to it. Now, obviously, I'm biased as a performance psychologist. I think they are extremely important. However, I understand that there are things like your trained ability and your skills, which are extremely important. Just having a strong mind on your own without the skills and abilities doesn't mean that you're going to be capable to execute those skills. So I guess the next follow-up question I have, and I'm going to try the poll again, hopefully we can get some momentum with it. Do you currently have a routine to train your mental skills? So I've made that poll live now. The answers are yes, sort of, and no. Do you currently have a routine to train your mental skills? Very sorry to the people that can't see the poll. If you want to unmute and submit your answer verbally, I'm happy to hear it. 10 votes in, 12 votes in.
No, it's no for me.
No for you, Ray. All right, I can submit my vote in for you. I'll pop it into no. 15 votes in there. Excellent. I think that's going to be pretty close to everyone's votes. So we'll end the poll there. Oh, Doug, yes. What's up? Let's see your hand.
Actually, I'm still stuck on the first poll.
The first poll's still there. Is it showing you the results?
No.
No.
Just slide your bar down, Doug, and you'll see the other one underneath it.
Well,
Of course. Okay.
There it is.
No worries.
I have closed that second one. Doug, what was your answer for the second poll here?
Yes.
Yes, you do. Fantastic. Okay. So you would make then three people that do, 4 people sort of, and 9 people no. So it is an interesting kind of comparison when you sort of think about these 2 data points. Again, most people go, okay, well, mental training and the mental side of croquet is important, but very hard to identify a practice routine for it. A lot easier for the physical and technical side of things. And it's interesting when we say, like, if physical training or technical training is so important, what do? We immediately develop a routine for it that show up once, twice, 3 times a week for practice or more. And it would be seen as perhaps strange to skip on those things if we wanted to improve at them. So it is a little bit interesting that this tends to happen with mental skills and with psychology. And I think perhaps it's just because things aren't as obvious. So hopefully today we can flip this. In fact, this may have even been a trick question. If you were here for the first time and you implemented the training journal, then yes, you have started to develop a routine for your mental skills. So hopefully there's a little bit of a head start for you there. All right, so we're going to be talking a bit about this in our first exercise. How much influence and control do we have over things? Starting with sort of some psychological elements here, thoughts and emotions. This is a rhetorical question. It's not something you have to answer right now, but it's just something that I wanted us to think a little bit about before we start this next exercise. So, you know, I think we have sort of some control over thoughts. Even go as far to say that we have no control over emotions. If we think about this, the emotions just kind of show up, right? A situation happens, an event occurs, and the emotions just kind of appear rapidly. It's not that we can just create an emotion out of nowhere whenever we want. Similar to our thinking, we can't necessarily just change the way we think whenever we want to think that. And thoughts just seem to flow through automatically without us necessarily controlling them. So there's a couple of questions here or points here on the dot points. Like, don't think about the color red. And the tendency is our mind tends to think about these things. So how does this kind of apply when we're talking about it in croquet? Okay, don't think about the shot that just happened. Don't think about what your opponent's just done. Don't think about the scoreboard. All it tends to do is get us thinking about those things more. So avoidance strategies tend to not be helpful. If you're here for the first workshop, a lot of what we're trying to do is be open and flexible and accepting of the experiences that we have as human beings and work with them to shift our focus back into the game that we're playing. All right. So I'm going to, in a minute, split us off into breakout groups. I think it'll be about 5 or so breakout groups. Just check the number of people here. Maybe I might even make it less because I think there's less people, and I'd like the groups to be a bit bigger. So in your breakout groups, everyone's going to do the same exercise, and the exercise is this one here. In your groups, list out as many things as you can kind of think of that fit within either things you fully control, things you partially control, or things that you completely are outside of your control. Within croquet, of course. So I've given some examples at the top of what I mean. So your opponent, where would you put your opponent here? Would you put your opponent under something that you fully control, partially control, or don't control? The final result of the game, would you put that under fully, partial, or no control? Weather conditions, where would that sit? Try to think up a list of as many things as possible that come to mind in croquet and how you would put them here. Particularly think of the things that you find challenging in the sport, the things that tend to maybe raise the emotional level a little bit or make things mentally more difficult. So that's the exercise for now. I'm going to give us a good healthy amount of time to do this, about maybe 9 minutes, 10 minutes or so. So it's about 3 minutes to come up with ideas for each of them. And discuss that with your group. I'll try pop in and see how we're doing. If you're following the recording, I think you wouldn't be able to see what the breakout groups are doing. So give this a pause and perhaps try do it for yourself. Just give me 1 minute while I set up the breakout rooms. So 5, let's do 4, shuffle. There we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got about 5 people or so per group. And we'll do a timer for 10 minutes. And I'll pop in and see how we're going. All right, the breakout groups are going to happen now. I was trying my best to jump through the rooms there, and I heard some really, really wonderful conversations going on. And it's, you know, it reminded me of the reason why I really love this exercise, because as you start to kind of try to list a few things out and categorize them, we kind of quickly realize that there's more layers and more nuance to things than we think. And there's a tendency to overestimate the things that we do control. And it kind of can put us in a bit of a difficult situation. So I'm sort of just sharing my screen again to bring the slides back. When we focus on something that's outside of our control, or when we focus on something that we only have partial control over, but we overestimate it, that tends to be a place where a lot of athletes find themselves struggling, whether that's heightened emotions and frustration about things. Frustration is definitely one of the most common ones. But we're really sort of looking at loss of focus that then just kind of comes back and impacts how we play in some way, shape, or form. So I'd love to, you know, perhaps have some people raise their hands and bring a few sort of interesting points perhaps from their groups. Maybe let's start with things that are fully within our control. Does someone want to raise their hand perhaps and share what came from their group? Kevin, lovely. Let's go.
All right, thanks, Darren. We had a good chat in our group. things that are fully within your control. So I'll go through them. Attitude.
Yep.
That's fully within your control. The reflection that you have post shot. So reflection on your shots.
Yep.
Whether it be good or bad. Post game, in terms of the brief, I don't know whether anyone else does this, but post games, I actually debrief myself. Your behaviour when you're on the lawns, your behaviour when you're off the lawns.
Yep.
The sort of shots that you intend to play, your selection of shots, that's fully within your control. And the strategy that you use within a game or a match is something else that's fully in your control as well.
Wonderful. Really good, excellent list there, Kevin. Appreciate that. Does anyone else from perhaps another group, do they feel like they had something that was missed or they could add to? If you do, please feel free to raise your hand. Great. Kevin, kind of looks like you've developed the exhaustive list. It's hard to kind of add on top of that. I think it was a beautiful list, very all-encompassing. Oh yes, Kate, go ahead.
So I was just going to add things like clothing and your choice of your mallet. There's stuff like that, sort of practical things that you can choose. Yep.
Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful. I heard another group discussing choice of attire too, given different conditions. So that was really good. Okay, let's hear about things then, because I think maybe the middle ones seemed to be tricky when I jumped into a couple of groups. Let's go to things outside of our control. What do we not control? Can someone from another group that hasn't contributed yet raise their hand and perhaps share what they had? Well, Anne, is that you? I think I see you literally raising your hand. Okay. Feel free to jump in if you want. Unmute and jump in.
Hi, can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes, Denise, I do see your hand up also. I'll jump to you after Anne. We'll go Anne first. Go for it, Anne.
So the list our group was weather,
Yep.
rain, light or wind, though you have some control. If it's raining, you can put a raincoat on. If it's cold, you can put more clothes on. There's not much you can do about heat and humidity except have water on the sideline and be aware of what you need to do to cope with it.
Yep.
There's things like with light, like shadows in the afternoon that may cause problems, or even in the morning, early morning, or frost on the lawn when it's cold. But also the next one would be distractions, for instance, noise, people calling out and cheering for something that's not in your game, but in the game next door. An interference physically on the lawn, like a ball rolling over from another game, or if it's double banked, a ball rolling over from another game. You have no control over the toss. You have no control over who your opponent's going to be in a block or in a competition. You're allotted that opponent. You have no control over the gap between games. Sometimes you wait 5 minutes, sometimes it's 2 hours.
Yep.
You have no control over a lot of the ref's decisions, especially if it's interpretation of something, like if it's in a double tap or a crush. But there are situations where you could question the ref if you think the rule has been wrongly applied. No, that's not the right word, if you know what I mean. The wrong rule. And that's the end of my list.
That is a very wonderful and extensive list. Denise, I know you had your hand up before. Did you want to add anything?
That's okay. Anne was in my group and she's just covered it for me.
Well done. Yes, you guys had a really, really thoughtful discussion in there. It's, I guess, not too surprising, or maybe it is, but the things outside of our control seems to be a pretty extensive list. And I think just sort of as we hear some of those items listed off, that they tend to be the types of things that we do find unsettling or frustrating or disturbing. It's the type of things where we go, oh, but if it just wasn't like this and like that, things would go better. So we do sort of tend to see that the list of the things outside of our control do raise the frustration level a little bit. While we're on the topic of things outside of our control, I know that that was a really extensive list. Did anyone have something else that perhaps wasn't mentioned? If so, please raise your hand. Raise your hand, not with the button at the bottom. I was fortunate to see Anne raising her hand on the camera. Right, I'm not seeing anything, so I think that's a massive tick there, Anne. Well done to you and your group. So, okay, let's move to partially within our control. Now, this was a tricky one when I sort of jumped in and tried to join some discussions. Does someone from a group that hasn't participated yet, would you like to click the raise hand button and share what your group came up with for things that are partially within our control? I'm not seeing any hand raised at the moment. Maybe then anyone that wants to jump in, anyone that wants to share what their group came up with for things partially within our control. Go for it, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks, Darren. We come up with double bank games, which is where you've got two games on the same lawn. When you're playing an opponent, you can control to a degree their behaviour, what they do, in terms of when it's your shot. You know, you can have them move out of the way, you can have them be quiet, you can control their position on the lawn. Sometimes when it's double banked, some instances you can control what they're doing, but in a lot of instances you can't. So it's sort of partially within your control. One of our members said final results. They'd like to think that they have a bit of control over the final result. I guess particularly when it comes down to a close game, and strategy would probably play a major role in that. And then another one of our members said referee behaviour.
Okay.
Anne mentioned before about out of your control, the referee's decisions, which is spot on. But you know, I think if you've got a good vibe with the referee, and you start off in a nice friendly manner with the referee when you're playing your game, about to start your game, keeping the referee on the good side really works in your favour. So to a degree, you can partially control the referee and their behaviour, I think. Thanks, Darren.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing, Kevin. Yeah, before I jump in and discuss it further, is there anyone else that wanted to raise their hand and add to that, things that are partially within our control? Kate, yes, go for it.
I was just going to add, in our group, we had a debate about the lawn quality as being initially outside our control, but one of our members, Steve, felt that there's nothing that you don't have some. He felt that you can be aware of the issues of your green and make sure that you're given, you're able to move the ball in if the edges are rough and there's a hole in the lawn. So you just need to understand, completely be at the mercy of the lawn. Interesting conversation, that one.
Yeah, really fantastic. And I heard that I heard the theme of that in some other groups too. I think it was in Anne's group and Denise's group, where I heard them talking about, well, we might not control the weather, but we control our choices that we can do, and we can maneuver around the weather. So it's not that the weather, or it's not that things outside of our control necessarily can determine things. We can always respond. And yeah, I think the distinction I make here is like, so you don't control what the weather or what the lawn quality is on that day. That's not your responsibility, but you do control your response to those uncontrollable situations as they unfold. And I think that within that, that's really where we're able to exercise our mental toughness. It is our ability to comprehend and understand and be aware of ourselves, of our reactions to these things, to identify quickly, do I control this or not? If I do, the part that I do control, how do I respond to it? And giving the most thoughtful response that puts you in the best position to compete to your best. Right? And so this is actually a skill. This is a skill that we're talking about here, to be able to be aware, to identify, to do the work, to understand what we do and don't control. And it's very, I think, reliable work in that there are going to be common themes that show up over and over again each time you play croquet. It's not going to change. So if we find and understand and build awareness around some of these things right now, they'll continue to serve you really well through the rest of your croquet. So that was really fantastic. Well done, guys. That was a big, big part of what I wanted to accomplish today. It forms a really wonderful foundation for many, many other mental skills. So when it comes to handling pressure is about being able to focus on what we can control. Pressure comes from focusing too much on a result outside of our control. When we're talking about emotional composure, we've got to quickly identify what was in our control, what is in our control. How do I respond more thoughtfully in this moment? These are the strategies that help us manage those emotions. This sits at the foundation of a lot of our mental skills. So this is something that I really highly recommend. If you remember our training journal from our first workshop, something that you can add into your training journal there. Sorry, Kate, I think I saw you. Oh, did we shut the slide down? No, I think, do I have the slides showing? Can you see
Yes.
them? Yep.
Yes.
It is. Sorry, Kate, did I?
I thought it might be helpful to see the group rather than just the slide. Oh, there we go. Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. So, okay, I'm just moving along through our slides now. So we are trying to develop an effort-focused mindset here. Outcomes are obviously a big part of the sport. People want to win. You want to do your best. That's why we're here to compete. But over-focusing on the result itself doesn't really help us. Just turning up and saying, I'm going to win today, doesn't mean that that's going to happen. Because as we sort of looked at through the exercise before, so many different things go in to making up what happens with the results. The result is a combination of all these factors: the greens, the opponent, your preparation, the weather, how you respond to all of these things dynamically, your interactions with your opponents and the referees. There are so many different things that go into making up the result. And so if we have a definition of success that is really only about if I win or lose, that's good or bad, that sort of sets us up to be really rigid. That sets us up to not have success as often as we like. It sets us up to be more frustrated with things more regularly. When we try to reframe our goals to be more process or values oriented or more effort oriented, we're saying, look, I'm going to show up. I'm going to try my best to respond to these things. These are the things I do control. If I do my best to deliver those each and every time, I've maximized my chances of the results that I'm after. And this is a lot more flexible, and this gives us the opportunity to still have successful performances even when the ultimate outcome doesn't go our way. So it is absolutely possible, and I highly recommend that we strive towards being able to have success even if we don't win a match. I like to sort of think of this as just a really simple baking analogy. So if we're having a process-focused approach, if we're thinking about the quality of our process, the quality of our process can influence the quality of the outcome, right? So, okay, really want a delicious chocolate cake. Just thinking about the cake itself isn't going to put the cake in front of me. I've got to think of the recipe. I've got to get the ingredients. I've got to get the tools. I've got to give it effort. I can't just put it all together in a bowl, cross my fingers and go. If I put effort into the quality of my process and I increase the quality of that process, I increase the quality of the outcome. It doesn't guarantee the outcome. That's a really important distinction to make. It doesn't guarantee the outcome. Nothing we can do, unfortunately, will guarantee the outcome. There's always something outside of our control. So one of the big skills, the next big skills I wanted to introduce is routines. Routines, you know, I'm sure all of our groups kind of talked about this a lot. Something we do control. We control our own actions. We control our own behavior. We control our responses. And so routines are really vital for elite performers. As you can see, elite performers in many sports use routines to create consistency in situations where there is inherently variability, right? There is inherently something uncontrollable within sport itself, right? All of the things that we just spoke about. So what do we need to do? We need to train our ability to be in control of the things we are in control of. And how does this help us? Increases consistency with performance, increases or improves the decision-making quality, quicker to recover from unfortunate outcomes, errors, mistakes, improves our ability to focus more consistently and more easily. All right. So a big one that I think applies to croquet here is the pre-shot routine. All right. The purpose of the pre-shot routine is not to guarantee success. It's to create the conditions for your best possible shot execution. So I've put a few dot points together here of just loosely what I think can make up the steps of a good pre-shot routine. And then I'll go through a few more slides, and the final sort of group exercise for today is I'll split us up into groups again. And I want us to discuss what makes up a solid pre-shot routine. You don't have to come up with something concrete for now, but we'll get to that in a second. So the sort of rough outline I have here that I think makes for a good pre-shot routine is there's a lot of downtime in between your shots in croquet. So if we're looking about what happens before your shot, we need to kind of observe, we need to gather information, we need to start to form the ideas of what could be our strategy or what could be our approach. We want to check in, you know, we've got the freedom, we've got the time to be able to check in on where's our focus at. Is my focus on the shot before? Does that really help me right now? Is my focus on the decision that the referee made that was unfair? Does that help me right now? We have the ability to grab a hold of our focus and point it at something that's going to help us for where we are right now. We've got the decision-making process. So what shot do you want to play? And then really what we're doing is we're kind of narrowing it down to get to full commitment. So the decision, we might have a couple of decisions, but ultimately what we want is we need to be fully bought in and committed to something. All right. There are no guarantees, remember. There are no guarantees of the outcome. We've got to be fully bought in and committed. And so once we're fully committed to the decision, it is execution. Execution, full trust with conviction. So that is sort of my rough guideline for a pre-shot routine. You might have more to add. Again, we'll do that exercise together at the end. I just kind of want to quickly go through some of my other slides first. So we've got, you know, you can add in other routines here. So my example is a between shot routine. So what do we do with the time in between? Are we overthinking something? Are we winding ourselves up? Are we creating tension where we don't need to? Can we just observe? Can we just learn? Can we let go of judgment? Can we accept and move on? And I think that last point is one of the most important ones, especially when it comes down to a shot that's either being played by the opponent or a shot that's being played by ourselves, whether it's something we're unhappy with. What is the speed of which we can accept that that has now happened and I no longer have control over it? And that actually the best thing for me and my performance right now is to accept it and move on to the next shot that needs to happen. All right, there could be other routines too. I like to talk about ones like a mental reset routine. I haven't put a slide for that in here. That could just be a routine of what we do. Again, if there's downtime in between, what do we do if we realize that, oh, things are getting away from me a little bit here? A good routine I like to sort of say is like maybe you just take a few steps away, grab the bottle of water, take a drink, put it down, step back. It's a really conscious behavioral thing that we do that only we know is a process to help bring our focus back. Mindfulness is another really important mental strategy here. So mindfulness is the ability to be fully present in the moment without judgment, fully aware here and now, observing thoughts and feelings and physical sensations, but we're not judging them. We're not trying to say something's good or something's bad. Mindfulness is just the ability to observe and just accept as it is. Things that get mixed up with mindfulness is people think it's about emptying our mind and having no thoughts. It's not. False. Mindfulness is about it's not about not having thoughts. Mindfulness is just about the awareness that we have them. They could be passing through. We may have less thoughts some days and more thoughts other days, but it's not about being able to have no thoughts. It's also not about being relaxed. It is often a byproduct. So, sorry, I should have added in here too. Mindfulness is often associated with meditation. Meditation has lots of different practices. Mindfulness is one form of meditation. And so mindfulness often gets confused with a state of relaxation. That's not the case. It's often a byproduct. When we are present, we tend to be more calm, but it is not the goal of mindfulness. Right? So presence here is really what we're after, and reduction of judgment is really what we're after. I think we all understand reduction of judgment when it comes to perhaps whether we've been critical about our own shot. Presence, I think, is a really important one. So I sort of like to draw things out here in a timeline, past, present, and future. And I like to kind of just orient things along this timeline. So, you know, an example of something that's happened in the past, an error, an opponent's lucky shot. That's something that gets into the past quite quickly, but our mind can accidentally stay focused on it for too long. Present moment is we're playing, we're encouraging, we're creating chances, we're committed to things. These are things that are happening in the present moment. They can't happen in the past or in the future. They have to happen now. And something that I think our mind often drifts to in the future is something related to the result of the game. If I mess this shot up now, well, the game's over. If that person made that lucky shot up, the game's over. Right? So our mind has a tendency to drift to these areas. So mindfulness and presence is just about being able to find the here and now. There's a function to all of these things. So it's not about being permanently present. It's about being able to have the skill to access the presence when it's most important. So all of these things have a function. The past has a function, helps us learn, right? We've all probably heard this before. Mistakes are where we learn. Yes, if we utilize them properly, if we reflect on them properly, non-judgmentally, we can use those experiences as learning experiences. The present moment is for performing, having fun, playing. Happiness is often correlated with presence. People that are more present tend to be more joyful and more happy. And the future is for planning. So we have the ability to understand that if there's a big game coming up on the weekend, what can I do? I can prepare for it. I can get myself ready. Oh, I know it's raining on the weekend. I can get the right clothes. I can get the appropriate attire. I can be prepared. It's going to be hot. I'm going to have a bottle of water, right? Our mind needs to have the ability to jump between each of these things because it's beneficial. However, it's about time and place. When we're playing is the time to be present. Right? So I want us to all practice this together. It's going to be interesting because I'm going to, I think, make sure everyone's still muted here. But what I want us to do in this experience is I want us to tune into our senses. And this is how I normally teach it. So sight, smell, taste, touch, and sound. These things, experiences are always inherently present. And I think that they offer the ability for us to practice them, and they offer the ability for us to practice them both in life and in sport, right? And they'll both support one another. If you practice it in sport, it helps you in life. If you practice it in life, it helps you in sport. So practicing our ability to be present is just an incredibly beneficial mental skill to develop. And I love to kind of layer it in through pre-shot routines or through reset routines. So I wanted to kind of get to this point so I could kind of give you some inspiration before our final exercise. So we're going to do this for a bit here. It's going to feel a bit awkward. Maybe different thoughts come to our mind. What I want us to do is all close our eyes, and I'll just do this for about 15 or 20 seconds or so. I want us to just tune into what we're hearing, right, in your own experience around you, and keeping our eyes closed just for the next 15 or 30 seconds, just keep expanding our hearing, expanding our hearing. If you notice your mind wander, just let it go and bring it back to the experience of hearing. So I'm going to close my mind and do this with you now. Sorry, close my eyes and do this with you now. And I'll see you in the next 15 seconds. Okay, guys, I'll invite you to open your eyes and come back here again. Would anyone like to unmute their mic or raise their hand and share what they noticed in their experience as they were expanding their awareness around what they were hearing? I'll start while someone thinks about it. I immediately noticed that it is raining really heavily where I am right now, and I could just hear water running all around me. Something I was completely unaware of because I've been fully engrossed in talking with you guys. So, you know, it's really interesting that when we kind of practice this experience of presence, we start to kind of gain this awareness of stuff that's happening around us. And it's not good, it's not bad, it's just an awareness. And it's this practice of flexible awareness that I think helps us guide our focus and attention. Michael, I see your hand up. Go for it. Jump in.
All right. I wasn't fully aware of it, but doing that, I could hear the hum of our speaker just humming away in the background, which is when I'm throughout the whole talk. I haven't heard it, but I did hear it just then. So, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, it's incredible what we can detect when we're open in a state, ready to receive and ready to process. And it's a really beautiful practice. I remember doing this one time, and I heard a dripping tap in my house through like 2 walls, and I was like, there's no way I heard that. And I went in, and lo and behold, the tap was dripping. So, you know, it's quite a powerful experience to just expand our awareness of what we're experiencing. We're experiencing so much, and we kind of lose perspective of that sometimes when we get gripped in the intensity of competing sometimes. So it's a really beautiful practice. And again, it's offers a lot of benefits, and we need to be able to access presence to play, because as you'll all be aware, we've all at times been caught up in things that have happened in the game that we cannot change. And the best thing we can do is just come back to here and now and play the shot that we've got. Quickly wanted to touch on managing emotions. Always managing emotions with openness and acceptance, all right? We're not trying to push away, suppress, reject, change. It just is. This kind of connects to the mindfulness principles. We're just open, aware, and accepting. Now, the confusing part that I think I wanted to illuminate and highlight here is that as humans that are very good at problem solving, we're aware that we perform better when we're calm, and therefore we then chase calmness to perform well. However, as you're probably all aware, it's unrealistic to be calm all the time and be calm whenever you want. So when we're talking about managing emotions, we're talking about the ability to be aware, to be open, and to accept that that's the emotion I have right now. I'm not going to jump into the game of trying to fight that and make that go away. What actually impacts my performance is when I'm experiencing an emotion like frustration, disappointment, or low confidence, what's actually happening is it's impacting the way that I play. And so I've given some examples here. The common ones: rushing, careless decision-making, reduced commitment to the shot. These are the most common impacts on what we do with our game when we experience the uncomfortable emotions. So rather than trying to change the emotion itself, we go and try to be consistent with the behavior. We go, hold on a minute here. It's the behavior, it's the trained skills and ability that I have that allow me to execute my shot. If I can do those things with full commitment, so stick to your routine, be patient, trust what you've done in your practice, and be fully committed to your decisions and your shots. Do that while you're frustrated. Do that while you have low confidence. And what we're able to do is we're able to break this cycle, because what tends to happen is when we have low confidence or when we're frustrated and then we get gripped by it and then we rush and then we hit a poor shot and then we get more frustrated and we're back into this spiral that just defeats itself until the end of the game, right? So we break this cycle not by trying to get ourselves calm again, but by being really committed to what we know we can do, what we've trained, what we're capable of, and what's within our control. And so when we are committed to our routine, when we show we've got the discipline to control our behavior, when we're frustrated, when we're patient with it, when we trust what we've done, and when we commit to our shots and our decisions, the performance goes up, and then that improves our mood, right? So it will naturally correct itself if we are committed to the things that matter. Okay, so super important. Okay, the last point I was going to say was just basically the training journal entries at the start. It's so important because you can add all of these skills and strategies and thought process into it. You can start to develop for yourself the tools and mental skills and strategies that work for you. You can develop your routine in there. Now, you know, I sort of put also the journal in here as a point of like, well, where do we put all of this criticalness that we have, this want to be better, this keenness to learn? There's just a time and a place for it. And I think maybe it was Kevin that mentioned it earlier that, you know, reflection when done well can actually be a really powerful tool for learning. And I think that this journal offers the opportunity to do that. But it's after the game, really. Like, it's not in the middle of the game, halfway through. That's not the time to be being critical about things. That's the time to be present and committed. The time for learning and reflection can come afterwards. And it's about feeding into a larger process, the process of continual growth and learning, right? So we train our skills to get better, we go compete and we're present, we reflect and we learn afterwards, and then we, using those reflections and those lessons, implement it back into our training to create a cycle of growth and progress. Okay. So I think that was it for today. Fantastic. Now, I did say that we were going to do an exercise to develop your own pre-shot routine, but I do have my eye on the time. So maybe I might call on Kate here if she's still around to maybe let me know if there's enough time to do this, if people are willing to do it, or if they'd like to do that as the homework exercise. That also could be a good thing.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether maybe as a homework exercise, but I'm open to if people are keen to do it now, perhaps press the hand. Otherwise, we'll make it a homework exercise. We've got a few hands up.
Got three. Is this a majority rules vote, is it? We've got three at the moment.
It might be majority rules.
I appreciate your keenness, but I do want to respect people's time.
So if we are to do it as homework, are you able to give us some information to help Darren, or what would you suggest?
Absolutely. So I think just I can either give you this slide and you can share it with everyone, but this is kind of this is a rough template for me about how you want to structure your pre-shot routine. But I think this is, you know, I want you to kind of put your own personal experience and understanding of yourself into it. And I want you to sort of think about the details that happen within the game. I've missed a bit of nuance here about what happens in the game. And I want you to kind of think about that in terms of how would you fit your routine in? What does your routine look like? What are you doing? Where does it start? Where does it end? How long does it go for? Just be detailed about it. Know what you're doing. The idea here is that we've got to make it consistent. We don't need a new pre-shot routine every time. We want just one really consistent pre-shot routine that we know and trust and that works for us in all sorts of conditions. So I can share this slide, but that's the premise of developing the pre-shot routine. Give that a go for yourselves.
So we're asking people to to reflect on their pre-shot routine, perhaps document what it is, Darren.
Yep, write it down.
And
be really
what I
clear
might
about it.
do, what I might do is put that to the development squad coaches, so that each group might be able to work on that as part of their coaching session.
Yeah.
I might just
That's
have a
a
look at their
fantastic
pre-shot routine. Yeah. And some of them may have already done it, so they'll have a bit of a head start, but I think that maybe that's the way to do that. Yep.
Excellent. Great.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Darren. Is there any last issues that people need to raise before we go? I did get some feedback, Darren, from one of the participants who couldn't be here that they wanted to add to their training journal feedback about their tournament performance.
Yep.
Which I think that they found really helpful to be very reflective on how they went. And I think you've kind of covered a little bit of that tonight, but I told him I'd give that feedback. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's excellent. And it's again, it's a beautiful tool to use, and you do have the freedom to use it in the way that you think benefits you. It's a wonderful way to just reflect and record, and you can always come back to it, you know, and sort of see where you're at a time where you felt like you're playing well or where you weren't well, and just understand things. So it's a great tool to use, and thanks for sharing that, Kate.
Great. I might get you to maybe send me this pre-shot routine slide, Darren. I'll use it as a stimulus material for the coaches. That'd be great.
Absolutely. No problem.
That's okay with you?
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Some of the signal tonight I know was a little tricky, so you've persisted really well in staying with it, and I'll send this information out, and I'm really happy to get people's feedback if there's things that they'd like us to consider. The next session is in 2 weeks' time, so that's going to be the 11th, I believe, of no.
Yep.
I'll have a look. Can someone do the sums? The 19th of June.
18th.
18th of June, thank you. And that'll be the final session. It's going to be a little bit longer. So I will, if there's anybody who didn't get that message, I think, Patrick, I'll just double check that you're on the list. So a reminder comes from Croquet, New South Wales, people, and sometimes your email will regard it as spam, but I will just make sure everybody's on the list to get those reminders. Okay. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night. See ya.
Thanks.